Let's just continue this conversation. So the Israel-Hamas ceasefire clearly being put to the test this morning. So let's take a deeper dive with Foundation for the Defense of Democracy's fellow Peter Doran and a national security advisor to former Vice President Dick Cheney, Steve Yates. Gentlemen, good morning. Steve, we're going to start with you on this one. So as we've been reporting, Hamas shot and killed 2 IDF soldiers near the Rafah border crossing. Israel, they did retaliate with airstrikes, killing 26 and temporarily cut off the aid to Gaza. But miraculously, the fragile ceasefire is reportedly back on, still holding. Your thoughts on these new reports that we're getting?
Well, there's the reassuring part of it that the Trump administration remains fully engaged to keep pushing ahead to try to make sure that this multi-part plan goes through. On the day it was announced, I completely agreed with the congratulations on the hard work in getting here, but I still firmly believe that every step along the way is likely to be challenged. And we have to be prepared for that. I think the administration is. And in our news cycles, we're going to have to be prepared for that. And this first round of that challenge is reassuring to see that the ceasefire is back in place for a time. The ceasefire is one of the hardest things to hold, and we just going to take constant effort to do so.
Yeah, and Peter, here another big stumbling block to peace is most of the bodies of the hostages who were murdered in captivity still not returned. Hamas says they're digging through the tunnels where the hostages perished to find them, but Israel's now saying Hamas maybe it's just stalling while they build some backup with IDF stuck behind the yellow ceasefire line. Your take on all of this?
Well, I think that's correct. It looks like Hamas is back to its old tricks, very clearly dragging its feet when it comes to fulfilling its part of the ceasefire agreement. Let's also focus on where we can apply some serious points of pressure. Qatar and Turkey are major interlocutors for Hamas, and the United States needs to focus, sure, on Hamas, but also on the interlocutors for Hamas, Qatar and Turkey. That's where I think we can get the most traction, but very clearly, and let's make no mistake here, failure to return the bodies of these dead hostages is a violation of the agreement. As of now, and until Hamas returns those bodies, it is in violation, and I think that's why they're dragging their feet, because they don't want an end to this fight just yet.
Yeah, it's just absolutely horrific. But let's turn now to the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. So we are finding out more about the meeting between Ukraine leader Volodymyr Zelensky and President Trump that happened last week. So the president insisting Ukraine make a deal or risk destruction. Now he's even floating the Russian proposal the Ukraine hand over the entire Donbas region. Steve, I guess, what do you think the end game is here? Because originally you're going to have to give up some territory, and then it was, Ukraine may not, and now they're kind of back to, you may have to give up some territory.
Well, at least from my point of view, I still think that President Trump had this right at the beginning, where you first have to stop the killing. We have not accomplished that in the Russian invasion of Ukraine yet. And after you stop the killing, you have to hold the peace. So you've got a common thread on how hard it is to hold the peace. But really, until you have done those things, you can have conversations about the disposition of land and security assurances. But really, until you've done those first two things, you're just having these conversations go back and forth. And I think it's understandable that there's a tense back and forth. You have combatants who have suffered a lot, who are trying to figure out, is there a landing place that you can accept? And in mediation, usually all parties come away unhappy if you've done good mediation. Right now, I think that's what President Trump is trying to map out. But we still haven't stopped the killing and held the peace.
Yeah. And again, that is exactly what Trump wanted. He wanted to stop the killing. Peter, I want to ask you specifically maybe about the Tomahawks, because originally, Trump was saying that reportedly we may be sending the Tomahawks over there. And then he said, he's kind of pulling back on that a little bit. And he also said that he spoke to Vladimir Putin on the phone. He said he almost jokingly floated that idea. Hey, what do you think if we sent Tomahawks to Ukraine? He said, Putin said, I don't think I would like that very much. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I think President Trump is holding out these Tomahawk missiles. Let's recall, these are long missiles with very long-range strike capability. They're in our arsenal. Ukraine wants them so that they can hit military targets such as oil refineries. I think Trump is holding this out as a point of negotiating leverage. But for the past several weeks, frankly, too much attention has been given on this one weapons system.
Yeah.
Everyone is acting as if this is the silver bullet that's going to bring an end to the war. And quite frankly, it's not. The end to this war has a very clear equation. The more economic pressure you apply to Russia, the faster Putin runs out of money, and the faster he will be unable to fund this war. That's where the focus should be, and President Trump knows this. He's flirted with putting secondary sanctions on the countries that are buying Russian oil, and oh wow, plot twist, the Hungarians in Budapest are one of the largest buyers of Russian oil, and that's where President Trump wants to have his peace conference between Zelensky and Putin.
Yeah, and Trump has said, hurt Russia in the wallet. Like you just said, look what he did to India with these sanctions because they continued to buy that Russian oil. Peter Doran, Steve Yates, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Great conversation.
Thank you.